What is this game we have here today? Well, it's the Stern You Only Live Twice game, right? This is a You Only Live Twice because that's what it says, right? You only live twice. Now, on the side, it shows James Bond, so we could call it James Bond. We could call it 007, but I think the name of the game is You Only Live Twice. Or I suppose it could be any of these. There's lots of James Bond. There's 007. Do we call it that? No, we're going to call it You Only Live Twice 007. That's the name of this game. Isn't it crazy? Now, the name of the game is James Bond because it tells you clearly right here it's James Bond in smaller letters than 007. I mean, who doesn't know this isn't James Bond? This is James Bond. That's what we're going to call the game. And this is a premium edition. You Only Live Twice. So is the name of the game You Only Live Twice? I'm telling you, it's confusing for people who don't know. But what it is it's James freaking Bond, and I love James Bond. Love it. Now, this video isn't going to tell you anything you don't already know about the game if you're a pinball fan, because pinball fans, super fans, watched videos by specific YouTubers that talked about the 30-second teaser for half an hour and how Stern was either going to collapse, how this was a terrible theme, how they were worried, or maybe they thought it was great. I don't know, man. That stuff is ridiculous, and it hurts my brain. Kudos to them, though. They get views and get people all riled up, and then they get on the internet, and they carry on, and, you know, that's kind of what's wrong with our country today, right? People just want to fight and argue all the time. But anyway, about this game. So let me tell you my own take on You Only Live Twice Premium. My take is when I first saw this game, it was at Pinball Expo shortly after they had mentioned it, and it failed miserably in a million ways. Not with the playfield geometry, that was fine. Not really with the artwork, although I was hoping that it wasn't just that James Bond. I was hoping it was all the James Bonds. So whenever I found out that it had kind of been focused just on the earliest titles, which I love and adore, I was a little bummed. Because, man, let's face it, James Bond has come a long way. Okay, and I got to say, even though I'm a Craig, my cousin Roger Craig, is that his name, Roger? It's not Roger Craig, is it? It's not Rob Craig. What's his name? What's the actor's name? Well, whatever. Anyway, he's not related to me. Clearly. So what was the problem with James Bond whenever I first saw it? The problem with James Bond when I first saw it had to do not with Godzilla here, but what was setting here before I got this Godzilla Premium. And what was setting there years ago was a Kiss. And I bought Kiss as soon as it was announced, and I put it right here. And whenever I played it, it had less depth than this Big Hurt. It had less depth. It had about the same depth as my Pinbot down there. It was incredibly disappointing. And after a year and an update, it finally had almost as much depth as Big Hurt, but still not. And I was pissed. When Rush came out, and this is a pro, when Rush came out, it also suffered terribly. So I think from terrible software. That's good now, very good. It's an example of a commitment to software updates that Stern now has. But back then, it was terrible. It was terrible. But whenever they first release these games, it's very much like an Xbox title or a PlayStation title or a PC title where the updates will come, you hope. And so this game, I would have never recommended. When I played it at Expo, whenever you threw a ball over here, it would stop and it would just put almost nothing on the screen and very few call outs. And over here, same thing. And then there was certain sound bits that were just repetitive, and it was overall terrible to play. I mean, terrible. I was disappointed. Not in the layout, not in the graphics package, but the software was terrible. But now, here we are, 2024, July, almost August. And this game is dang near perfect. I mean, it's fantastic. There's so much going on in this game. I mean, really, it has been fleshed out with the software, and I love it. Look at the software updates and the things that have changed. Pages and pages and pages of add-ons and things that they've done to the game. They make it fantastic. So, physically, mechanically, it's fantastic. I really do like it. Now, if you don't like this tight upper flipper shooting that you can do here, you've got a shot here. Let me see if I can line the camera up right there. Then you get that's for the baby dolls. Got the chicks shot. Bond girls. Then you've got the henchman shot here. You've got a tight shot that can kind of go up here where it says that's where the dragon lives, which is that tank, fire-breathing tank. That's kind of a lame piece, by the way. I feel like I could have done a lot better there. But anyway, we've got just this little shot up in between the pop bumpers area. You can kind of backhand a drop target from there, but a lot of times it's just not, you know, I mean, it's important, trust me, very important shot, and it's very pleasing to shoot the Bond girls loop and send it all the way up around. I like that shot a lot. On this flipper, we've got a target. We've got this shot right here that I can't really tell you enough about it because this isn't even my game. I mean, I've played it maybe 10, 20 times. I love it. I just shoot it when it's lit. And then we get the villain modes from this flipper shot. A backhand, can you call it a backhand? Maybe. We're not quite going back yet, but you can hit the lock shot here off of that flipper. You can back it up and hit some targets. And then we got the right flipper down here. That right flipper, let me show you it. There's a right flipper right there. You can pop it up here and land it down in there where James Bond is fighting underwater. And you can obviously hit that spinner. You can shoot it up around the rocket. You can pop the drop target. You can hit the lock shot. And you might be able to slip one right over there to the dragon tank. And that's pretty much what you're going to grab off the flippers. The shot around the spinner is very happy. It's a happy shot. If you can hit it and nail it and swing it all the way back up here to the top and grab Bond with his little jetpack, and he'll lock and fly around. That's a very happy, fun shot. I like happy, fun shots. So, what do I think about You Only Live Twice Premium Edition? I think it's fantastic. I think it's a great game, and I really want to keep it. I really wish this was my game. The problem is I don't have enough fun pinball money to buy it. So unfortunately, I have to sell it. And that's what this video is really about. If you're interested in a perfect James Bond premium that's never been routed, meaning it's never been on a public route, nobody has ever dropped a coin in it, unless they did it just for fun, then this is the game for you. If you live in Southern Illinois or you're anywhere near this area, then this is the game for you. It's perfect. It's perfect. Has it been played? Yeah. It's pinball, dude. It's been played. But it's perfect. There's nothing wrong with this game at all. The software is fully updated to make it fun. Actually, it was fun wherever I got it. Quick history. Yeah, I got all the high scores. Of course. And they're probably not very good. If you're looking here and you're a James Bond player, I mean a You Only Live Twice player. Let's take a look inside. It's dark in there. Let's pull this out. Okay, so inside we have a couple, a manual, the little manual. I think it's actually got paper printed out and stapled. What else do we have in there? We have some information about the RGB lighting around the speakers. I didn't install that. Previous owner did. So I bought this for a family member who has a basement. And that family member who had lived there for, almost 30 years, decided to move. And they moved into a smaller home with no basement. And this was only in that basement for 6 months. So I don't know how many times it had been played before I bought it for the family member. There's the serial number and birth date right there. Let's move on over here. There's the birth date. So it's January 2023. And that makes this game how old? A year and a half old. Always in home use. Let's see how many games have been played on it. Well, anyway, it grieved my soul that that he was going to sell it. And so I wanted to buy it. But man, I can't afford them all. I just can't afford them all. So let's go to audits. Earnings. No, that's not what we need. Standard audits. Total balls played. There we go. Where's our total plays ever? Total plays lifetime 1,393 games. Now, I don't know if a game is counted whenever you hold the button in, but if it counts that as a game, then that's probably a bunch of them. 1,393 games have been played on this. And by the time it sells, it'll probably have 1,420 or so, unless I just get into a romp and play a bunch, or if I have some people over that want to play it. I do have some people I'm going to invite over to play this. I don't know if Mirror Blades came with this by the premium edition. I don't know if that's a add-on or not by the previous owner, but I love it. It looks great. Okay, so anyway, this is it. James Bond, You Only Live Twice. The price for this is $8,800. That's a steal. That should be current market going rate, I believe. And in fact, that would be the price that it needs to sell at in order to break even for the 6 months of ownership. So let's review. We have a James Bond, You Only Live Twice Premium Edition. It is fantastic because the software is really good on this game now. I want to keep the game, but I can't keep the game because I don't have any pinball money. I just bought 1, 2, 3 games in the last month, okay, before I found out about this move and everything that has to happen. So we pull the game out of the basement of that house, bring it to my basement because it just fits well with the basement and all the games that I have down here. But as you can see, it doesn't really belong here because it's in the way of this light. I don't even have room for this game. So I need to sell it for the owner. Would you please buy this game for me so I can literally hand the man the money and just get the temptation away?